So once again, we are back with the channel. We've got another project that we are going to be undertaking today. So what we're looking at is we're going to be making a framework that will be used to move the engines around, either in the workshop or on the drive. This framework will have wheels on, and what it's going to be doing is it's going to be using it to move the engines around from place to place, or anything else that's quite heavy. I think I'm going to put a handle on the front to make it manoeuvrable, but let's take a look at what we've got up so far. So these are the VW engines stripped bare. Basically what we're going to be doing is rebuilding this engine, and at some point we need to move it around the workshop. If we're going to be doing that, we don't want to be injuring ourselves while we're doing it, so we need to make something that will be helpful to move the engine around, but also move it under the vans. Now we're going to use that few bits of tube that I've got here. Basically this is some offcuts of steel that I've found in the corner of the workshop, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a frame out of this. Now it needs to be big enough to carry the weight of this, so it's strong enough, but also big enough to actually fit in. So my idea is to build the frame just big enough to put the engine on with all the auxiliaries, so the exhaust on, cylinder heads, everything else. So I've assessed the positioning, and what we're looking at is something that's something like that. I'm going to put some cross pieces across to support that engine, and then basically we're going to put some plywood that I have there bolted onto this, along with some wheels. Now the wheels I've bought can be fixed or movable. So the first thing I've done is I've cut into a section so that I can fasten them together. So what I've done is I've cut that section off there, so we've got a flange on the outside. I've done the same with the other one. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting that flange out on that one. As you can see, I've done that one already, and we're going to use that flange to strengthen up that connection. So hopefully what we're going to be doing is putting that into that section. Going to weld that up. I mean, at the moment it doesn't match, but we're going to get the grinder on, grind that clean, and then we're going to attach it onto that one. So if we clean all that fresh clean steel, get all the paint off, then obviously it's going to be better for welding. So now we've got that all cleaned off, I'll do the other four, and then we'll try and match these up best as we can. We've taken the angles off, a rough cut with the hacksaw, but we now need to trim that up and make it a good fit for welding. So in an effort to keep everything parallel, we've got this joint in there now, quite decent. I'm going to clamp that to that side, one on that side, and then we'll get the welder out and just basically weld that section in. So we'll just weld these together. We'll tack them in place first before we do a proper job on it. It will give us an idea of how close we've got. So we've got 4 on that side. We'll move it around. trying to keep it in position is a bit difficult, but I'm sure we will succeed. Still flat. Nothing seems to have moved. Everything stayed in place. And it still feels fairly flat. I've got a couple of strengthening pieces. My intention really is to pop in a couple of strengthening pieces to give it some extra strength for that weight, but also maybe in this area here I may have to put a piece of steel in to strengthen up for the wheels. So I didn't want to put too much in to make it too heavy. So we'll cut these down to size, position them in, and then we'll weld those in. So we've now got framework done. There's cross pieces, so we know that's going to take the weight of the engine. So what we're looking at now is the wheel placement. So we're going to place one at the edge there, one there, so that'll give us our straight ahead position, and then we're going to be putting the others at the other end. So what I've done is I've taken a couple of pieces of steel, same diameter, same size, and I've pointed out the ends so that they will fit into our sections here quite snugly. So I've done both sides. So that's now going to be for the wheel. What we're going to do is we're going to place that possibly about there, because that's the steering end. So the strengthening pieces there, we'll tack that onto there, and then we'll do the same on the other side. So our track on either wheels is basically the same. So let's move on to that. So we're going to tack, first we're going to tack these onto the frame, and then we'll tack the wheels on afterwards. So we'll just tack the So we've now got his cross pieces welded in place. Put a bit more on these backs just to give it a bit more strength. And we're just tacking these in. We will do them fully once it's all built up. So now we've got them extra pieces in, we'll look at the positioning of the wheels. think that's all the welding done. So we've got his wheel attached, we've got his steering ones at the front. Going to be putting a handle on at the front and back, I think, and a good bit of ply on this side so we can stand our jack on. Now, as luck would have it, I don't have a big enough piece of the 25mm ply, so I'm going to have to use two pieces. You can probably see there I've marked out the profile on that one, and then I've done the same down there. So I've got the trusty jigsaw, and what we're going to do is just cut out that section and then glue it to the frame. So we cut our first section out. Again, we'll cut the other one out of that piece there, and then we'll bring you back for the fitting. So that's with the wood on the top, gives you that flat platform. As you can see, we've got a little bit of trimming to do, and then we're just going to see if we can bolt that on. So we'll finish off the edges, we'll go around with a file on that, and then we might stain this to protect it a little bit from the weather. But all in all, we've got a nice stable area that will not move and will easily take the weight of the engine. So as you can see, we've got plenty of scope there to move the engine around. Once the engine's fully built with all the tinware on, heat exchangers, everything else, then obviously we'll be able to move that around quite easily. So another project finished for the garage. We've got this table now. We'll be using that to move some of the heavier items around in the workshop and the garage, but it will make use of that. Also come in useful when we put the lift on there to lift the engines up to put them back in the VWs. So we'll be using that in conjunction with that Vevor. So if you like what you see, if you want to give us that thumbs up, if you're already a subscriber, then thanks for subscribing. But if not, I want to ask you if you can consider it for us. Right, so that's about it for today, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.